Ba-da-da-da. Why am I hearing voices? Oh, guy on the phone. We are functional on both. Yeah, Twitch just lit up. Functional on both, you say? Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the party. I'm going to be straight with you right out of the gate here. I've been up since like 5 a.m. and I'm a very tired boy, so we'll just have to see how long before I run out of steam on this whole stream. Secondly, forgot to plug in the cameras earlier today, so I think they're good, so we'll just have to see. It's about 7 billion degrees outside right now, and I'm standing next to a hot fire. So, probably be a short stream anyways. I am, because you guys are awesome, I am way behind on my chain. I've got like 11 links made up-ish. So I think what I'm going to do is go into full production mode. I'm just going to make up a whole bunch of like unwelded links. I'm just going to get a stack of those. And then maybe next week will be all forge welding all night long. And I'll forge weld them all up. So I'm going to have to go into like production mode or something on this, or I'm never going to get caught up. I think we're up to like 70-ish right now. So that's awesome. Continue to tell your friends, family, that guy that you talk to once at Subway, your neighbors over the fence and stuff. Be like, hey, check out this nerd swinging a hammer. It's fun. So, yeah. As per usual for the last couple of streams, doing the Oliva G series. Getting low on my box of those, so I'm probably going to have to order another box. You might notice the Jeep in the background. It's usually over there. But Attack of a Lazy kicked in today. I didn't move it. So let's see if we can't get some metal cooking. I'm just going to get this straightened out for the most part. Throw a hot scale on my hand while I'm at it. Oops. I don't know what I'm doing with that. Let's get it hot and then try again. Honestly, I thought Levi was going to swap the cameras for me there, so I didn't do it. So, sorry. Blame him for the lack of cinematography.
It's always my fault.
Okay. We're going to take a vote. Okay, you guys in the back, let's stay quiet, but we're going to vote with our hands here. Yes, you with the handlebar mustache, your vote counts twice. Let's all vote to blame Levi for all of today's mishaps. All right, I'm seeing 16 hands in the mustachio man. He counts for twice, so that's 17 plus mine. 18 votes for everything is Levi's fault today. Yes, you, ma'am, in the back. Yes, I do have a website, brimstoneforge.us. Thank you for asking, ma'am. Today's stream is filmed before a live studio audience in my imagination. Like I said, very little sleep today, so things might get weird.
There's no bite. It's going to get weird.
That disembodied voice is Levi, because I'm usually the one that sets up the cameras, so I don't think Levi actually understands where the cameras are pointing. So I might have to point that out to him one of these days. Hey, Levi, real quick, if you come stand over here.
I don't want to be in front of camera.
So that right there is a camera that points at the anvil, so people can see what we're doing, as you can see there. And then that camera is pointed this way, and that's basically the intended audience.
I think that one's just for you to show off.
No, I use TikTok and YouTube Shorts for that with my fancy hammer twirls and splattering metal. Which, I've caught an appropriate amount of static for that, and I accept it because, yes, that was all for fun and show. But there's a great little anecdote that goes along with it. I think we need the pokey poke before we give it air. I think we just see how the coals are just kind of dull down there.
Yeah.
I think it's impacting some airflow. I don't think it's hot way down there. If you look, yes, we weren't getting it. You're suffocating. So, fun little anecdote while that's warming up. So, me and Brittany shot the spinny splatter video, and she was standing just about where that camera is. And I told her, like, okay, we're going to make this metal overly hot because I want it to really give us a splatter. So when I hit it, it's going to throw like liquid hot magma everywhere. And she's like, okay. So we got the metal sparking in the fire, and I said, okay, tell me when. She said, when. I pull it out, smacked it, and it splattered, as you guys saw in the video. If not, go check it out. It's really cool. What you guys didn't see was immediately after it cuts out, she literally turned around and ran away, which I got quite a kick out of that. It's like, I told you. But yeah, it was funny watching her turn and literally run away from the molten metal. Words are hard. Do we have hot metal yet? We have hot enough metal. Now this time, instead of doing almost a 90-degree turn and screwing up my square, I'm going to do it right this time. Let's see. There we go. Look at that. Jesse knows how to make a square. Levi is working on his fish pole holder dealy. And between you and me, I don't think you can hear me. I don't think he has much of a plan. I think he's just kind of hitting metal until it kind of looks like what he wants it to look like.
How's that any different than you?
I have a plan for what I'm working on today. I did not have a plan for that key, which is why that's gone somewhere else. I gave up on that key. I got to rethink my approach on that. Oh, excuse me. All right, you can see he's going to be hitting some metal. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing there.
I am
Attempting to stretch out both at the same time?
Yep.
All right.
And I'm going backwards for that, aren't I? Oh well.
More metal to you. Get it hot. So you may have noticed that he held that metal on the edge of the anvil and put a whole bunch of divots in it, and then went to pounding on those divots. And I'm going to let Levi explain why he did that.
Essentially, it's a way to compact it and make it faster to draw out.
What am I doing? Oh, scarves. I'm not doing tapers. I'm doing scarves. What am I?
It's okay. It's hard to brain today.
I can't. Alright, that's about half the material. Which, when we're doing, I guess, kind of a tapered scarf type thing. It's not exactly a scarf, but nonetheless, we're doing about half the material. So when we lay it over, it'll be like full material. Have a nice strong lay. We're gonna have a whole bunch of racket noise in a second because the neighbor's lawnmower guy just showed up. So there's gonna be a lot of racket as he unloads his gear, and will probably be a constant line of a lawnmower. That'll be awesome.
Right on the way to the computer now.
Got a network glitch.
Oh no! Did we go down?
So that's why I came over here, was to check. Yep, we're good.
Yay!
And I saw that good friend Rob had made a comment, so I was just replying to him.
What'd Rob have to say?
He said I need a new anvil stand because this shakes worse than Michael J. Fox, which is a beautiful line. I love that.
I think he just needs a whole new anvil, so we stop putting divots in the working face.
That's pretty much what I just told him. It's like, I'll get a new stand when I get a new anvil.
We just need to go back up to what's his name? He's got a few.
I should hit up old Ted. You know, I think I will. I think I'll message him tonight and ask him if he's got any good deals on anvils up there.
I don't think I'd phrase it like that. His opinion of a good deal is very different than the consumer's opinion of a good deal.
So, do you remember how tight-fisted he was about hooking a brother up with some of that cast iron and stuff?
Uh-huh.
I sent another one of the Smiths to him. I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm going to send a guy your way. He wants a forge too. His name is da-da-da. He'll be reaching out. Can I give him your number? He's like, yeah, sure. So I did. Hooked him up. So the other Smith goes up there, buys another forge. I don't remember seeing it up there, but it was bright red. And kind of a similar situation.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that one.
But it's a very beautiful forge. And he was good. He gave him a whole bucket of like railroad spikes and like all this other stuff. Like, man, how come you got all the freebies? I should have got all the freebies. I'm the one that sent them your way. So yeah, I'll hit him up tonight and ask him what kind of deal I can get on an anvil. Sorry, I'm out of heat. It's okay. And that's probably going to last the entire stream, so that's awesome.
I'll figure out something.
That's annoying, but what are you going to do? You live in Indiana, and you know how to get through all the red tape to put a shed in your yard. Could you not help me out figure that out? I gotta say, Levi is doing an incredible job showing you how to pull metal out too soon and to work way harder than you need to by hitting cold metal. He's doing a phenomenal job hitting black steel.
It was not black when I pulled it out.
It was certainly dull enough. Like, I shouldn't be hammering on this because it's spring and it's very dull in regards to heat. Spin, move. Boop. We need to check the laptop. You got another alert about network performance. Please and thank you.
Rob says, can't go wrong with a Holland.
A Holland, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a suede block from Holland. That's the uh, that's a shop up in Holland, Michigan, not the country. I cannot remember the guy's name from that company. He's a super nice guy, and the deal he gave me on my little mini suede block was almost criminal. It was a great deal. Highly recommend checking it out. I think it's like Holland Anvil or Holland. I think it's Holland Anvil. He does incredible work. Super nice guy too. Just super nice. Of course, it's not getting very hot today.
Mind if I turn the fan up a little bit?
Yeah, please do. Alright, so that's about half the material or so, enough to forge, weld. So now we're going to get it hot. Did I line up my... Yeah, I lined them up pretty good. So we're going to get her hot in the middle and bend it over the horn. That's our next step. Michael J. Fox. So, several years ago now, we had a wicked drought go through Indiana. Then parts of the Midwest, I would imagine, were also affected. Bob, if you're still here, how bad is the sound of the lawnmower going?
They're complaining they can't hear us.
Wait, who's they?
Rob.
You don't have to say his last name. Who's the other person?
Brittany.
Oh, hey, Brittany. Glad you're here. Even if you're not actually here. Awesome that you stopped in. Thanks, sweetie. So, we're just going to have to get closer to the microphone and project more, like Billy Mays, while the guy mows the lawn.
Speak up.
I could always pull out my ref voice and really start projecting to the audience in the back row. But I'd like to have a voice later. So yeah, let's see if metal's hot, because that speaks for itself. It was not hot in the right spot. So, we're just going to have to hang out for a little bit while our little homeboy over there gets stuff done. Yeah. So,
Probably be a lot easier to get our metal hot if the coal isn't so wet.
that's probably part of it. I blame me for that one, even though we should blame Levi because we all voted on it.
You want a Pepsi?
Please.
are you using for a mic?
What am I using for a mic?
Yeah.
I cannot bring up the brand because if I bring up the brand, it'll make the stream glitch. But what we have going on is, let's see if I can do this. We got ourselves a little shotgun mic there. There we go. So yeah, it's a small little, I think you would call that a passive shotgun mic because it doesn't have power of its own. Got it on the old Amazon. I searched for shotgun mic, and it's one of the first ones that pops up with a whole lot of reviews. I think it's like 40 or 50 bucks. That didn't turn out too bad. Let's throw it on the floor though.
Drop forging.
Drop forge.
I can see the face for now because he's looking up the actual profile of what that mic is. So I'll be able to let you know. It normally does quite well, but it's got a lot to compete with at the moment. The real question is, will Jesse make it back before he burns the end off of his piece?
So yeah, I stepped away for a second so I could look up that microphone, throw it in the chat. Hopefully I grabbed the right thing. Hey Levi, click on the link I just put in the chat to make sure that's the actual microphone, if you would please.
Yep.
Cool. So that is the microphone we are using currently. Like Levi was just saying, it usually does a really good job, but with the old neighbor's lawn mowing guy making all that racket, It'd be hard for any microphone. I wonder if it'd be smart to get like a boom mic and put it like right here.
Maybe. At that point in time, we could probably just do an addition of shotgun mic, but then we might run into that echoing issue.
I considered putting another one on, but yeah, that echo thing was really weird.
That's a friendly neighbor.
Wow. So there's a huge truck. You may or may not see it go by. No. It's like a Ram 350 or whatever dually monster truck lifted way higher than mine. And he had a train horn on, so that's awesome. There we go, lap that over. That's really annoying. But if I could ever figure out that stupid paperwork, get a shed, that'll be less of a problem. Will you set me on top of the bowl real quick?
What?
Never mind. Oh, we'll get that. So yeah, shotgun mic. Hey, hey. Alright, he's moving to the backyard, so maybe y'all can hear me now. That'd be super. Oh, wait, no, he's coming back. Jeez. So, yeah, I don't know what I was trying to say here. See, I have a story I would like to tell to cut through some of this dead zone, but no point in telling the story if you won't hear it. I actually gave thought about this the other day. I actually came up with some stories to tell so there'd be less dead space. So that teaches me for planning out things to say. Meant to text my neighbor and let her know we're streaming, but I forgot to. And now I can. Brittany and I were out here forging the other night, and a neighbor came over, and I haven't talked to her in a few years, so like best neighbor ever. and she's like being nosy. Like, all right, what's up? She's like, what's this? What do you have going on? What are you doing? But oh, me and the girlfriend are just out foraging, making stuff. I'm making a knife for her mom, and we're making chain, and da 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 da. She's like, so that's obviously not a still, right? That would be correct. That is not a still, which would be kind of cool if it was. But she was very friendly. Like, yeah, I blacksmith and I do a live stream, da 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 da. And she's like, so is it for art? Like, I don't know about that, but I make a lot of tchotchkes and decorative things and tools and stuff. I don't know if you call that art. Like, I'll give you a text and let you know when I'm streaming so you can jump on and watch it. She's like, yeah, go ahead. And then I forgot to do it because I was trying to get the camera set up last minute. Ooh, she good hot. And we'll just throw it on the glove there too. Got like the best heat I've had in a minute. I wasted it messing around. Yeah, I can't do anything with that now. Your hand's gonna be a little wet, Levi. Sorry. Guess he wasn't going in the backyard. He just did the side yard. It'd be nice if he would skedaddle. But you, that's a fun story to tell too, if you can hear me. The best use of the word skedaddle I have read or heard about.
We didn't keep this.
You're welcome to if you'd like to. Oh, it's on camera. There we go. Oh.
If that makes any difference.
Do I dig all that crimpers like you're all that? Do that one more time, please? There's a lot of dust coming out of the down chute. It's like, do we have a crack or something in there? But I think you're just rustling up stuff. I don't think we have a leak. Let's see if we can do something with this. No, that's too cold. That won't bend and I'll just fight it. I don't want to fight it. That was hot.
Yeah, it wasn't the smartest thing I've seen you do.
I didn't think it would be that hot down at the end. Which is a good lesson to learn. Let's pretend this is a blacksmith shop. Everything in a blacksmith shop wants to burn you or cut you or smash your toe.
Or all three at the same time.
I've not seen that happen at the same time, but I've seen metal fly at a person and burn the bejesus out of them. I've seen that happen. Flew in the dude's boot and got stuck between his leg and the inside of his boot. That was painful to watch. I can't imagine how painful that was to experience.
So, point of note, don't tuck your pants in your boots.
That became a shop rule after that. That was rough to watch. I hated seeing it. Hated that it happened. See if I can do something with that. fell over pretty nicely. I think I'll leave that open. Well, you guys didn't even get to see it. So we got it folded over into like a pretty respectable length, if I do say so myself. I'm going to leave that open so I can clean it later when I get ready to weld it. So it's going on the old hot shelf. Speaking of things being hot, we have a standing rule that this metal shelf over here on the bottom, one should always assume that everything on that shelf is super hot.
See if I can draw this down a little bit.
Yeah, good luck with that. Oh, that's respectable heat. Yeah, so Rob had mentioned that he had the volume cranked and still couldn't hear us. That's probably because the lawnmower was hitting the noise canceling, and so it's just dimming everything. All right, so we started a new piece here. We're just gonna taper this down a little bit until like half the thickness. I have a whole lot of heat, so I didn't get to do the whole thing there. Michael J. Fox. We had a drought several years ago. Dang, this was a long time ago. 2013. We had a gnarly drought going through. Like my whole yard was dead grass. It felt like I was living in California again. And I made sure to go running through the yard barefoot and walked around and moseyed around my whole yard in that crunchy dead grass because that hadn't been a thing I experienced since I was a kid. But I had a job interview one day. Boop. Yeah, that's about what I want. Check that out. About half the materials. So anyways, I had a job interview. And because we are several weeks into a drought, I had the top and the doors off my Wrangler. And I checked the weather again just in case, and I was clear. So I got ready, got dressed for the interview, yada, yada, yada. Jumped in my Wrangler and drove out there. And there's this exit on the south side, I guess you'd say, that's notorious for backing up. And I was stuck on the freeway trying to get on the exit ramp because there's so much traffic backed up. And a pop-up thunderstorm showed up out of nowhere, and it just poured. It didn't start with like a little sprinkle. It didn't start with it might be. No, it was as if someone like I drove through the car wash or something. It just torrential. So I'm trying to watch the GPS on my phone. I'm trying to see through my windshield that's got rain on the inside and the outside. My glasses are all fogged up and rained. And I sat at that red light 3 or 4 cycles, just inching my way through and got drenched. And like I said, I was getting another half material there. We'll get hot in the middle and bend it. So anyways, I ended up missing my turn. And so I drove a couple of blocks too far and was afraid I was going to be late. So I pulled into a church that had like an overhang outside the door. So I pulled in there so I could get out of the rain. And I called him up and said, hey, look, I got caught in the rain. Sorry, I'm running late. I'll still be there. Just FYI, I look like I took a shower with my clothes on. I'm going to be super drenched because I got caught in the rain. And he's like, well, if you still want to come interview, I'm down. Like, I got time. I don't mind if you're wet. I was like, cool, me either. I'll see you in a bit. So I pull into the parking lot, and crazy enough, by the time I got to the place, it had stopped raining, and the sun came out like he was mad at me. And it was so hot. So, anyways, I'm standing in my Jeep, and I get out, and I'm wringing out my hair in the parking lot. And I'm just, it looks like I took a shower with my clothes on. And I walk in, and the receptionist, she's like, oh, hey, you must be Jesse, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Sorry, I'm late. She's like, no, you're totally fine, yada, yada. She's like, I have to apologize. I'm really sorry, but our air conditioner is broken. That's why it's so cold in here. And apparently the air conditioner broke, and it was set to Hoth. Now, if you're not a Star Wars nerd, Hoth was an icy planet that was just like a frozen tundra. It was so cold in that building. So they lead me into the conference room, and I sit down at the conference desk, and it was so cold, and I'm soaking wet, and the shivers started. And then it really turned into crazy shivers. I looked like I was Michael J. Fox in that interview. And the guy really liked me. So he invited another guy in to meet me. And I sat and chit-chatted with him for a while. And then it turned in, it was for an emergency radio company. And being a ham radio operator, they brought in another ham, and we jibber-jabbered about ham. I'm sure it was to vet me to see if I really knew what I was talking about when it comes to wireless stuff. And then they're like, hang out here for just a minute. We're going to go get the big boss man, like the president of the company, the owner of the company, the guy that started it. We'd like you to meet him too. I'm like, cool. So I sat in there for like 5 minutes just the whole time, trying to remain professional while my teeth are chattering. And then he comes in, and we had a nice long conversation, just freezing to death in this room. And that's a nice one. Yeah, that's way off. So during the old after the interview, they said they'd be in touch, and sure enough, they were. They called me the very next day, all excited, really wanting to make me an offer. I was very excited to take it because it would have been a lot of fun to do that job. And then it came out of, well, you may have noticed nobody at the company has any facial hair. I think old Billy Bob might have a small mustache, and I had a goatee at the time, like a well-groomed goatee. They're like, and we're not crazy about the long hair. Would you be willing to cut your hair? Nope. Like, I'll put it in a ponytail for you, but no. Like, what about shaving? Nope, not gonna shave. They're like, well, we'll let you know. We'll be in touch. Okay. 3 or 4 days go by, and they're like, hey, the contract that we were going to get that was going to pay your salary fell through, so we're going to have to rescind the offer. I think they really just didn't like the fact I wasn't going to cut my hair. Probably. Has another long-haired. Get that down a little bit more. And, like, it sucked I didn't get the cool job. Plus, I had been out of work for like 3 months. So I was going crazy and really wanted to get a job. And the whole hair thing really started to bother me. So I was like, to heck with it. The female I was with at the time was always asking me if I was interested in cutting my hair. And so I was like, to hell with it, let's do it. So I cut my hair down super short, went on an interview a couple weeks later, and they made me an offer while we were at the table during the interview. So I kept my hair short for a little bit until I left that job. Well, I had my hair short for about a year or so, and then I'm like, nope, I'm done with this stuff. So yeah, Michael J. Fox. What am I doing? Yeah, I just got the text message that you can still barely hear me for some reason, but it's quiet. So I don't know. She hot. Now I went too far the other way. That's better. That's much better. Yep, come on.
Too cold.
Okay, thank you. It's sounding better now, I'm told. I'm gonna have to get that hot again and thin that out. Alright, so I'm just gonna throw that on the ground. Thank you. So if you're just joining in, we're making chain links and stuff. Something similar to that for my subscriber chain. I'm way behind, so I'm going to make a whole bunch of rings. Levi's going to get that metal hot before he starts hitting it, but he's going to bring it over here first.
All right.
Going to bring it over here first.
Oh.
Thank you. Potential spam. Somebody wants to buy my house. So they say.
Offer you top cash dollar to buy it now.
I usually tell them $500,000 and they hang up on me. My house is not worth $500,000. But I like to tell them it is. Because best case scenario, I get $500,000. Worst case scenario, they stop calling me. That's win-win for me. If you're interested in buying my house, you can buy it sight unseen. $500,000, please. $500,000 would be a nice down payment on the house I want.
Down payment on it?
Yeah. Holy heck. I looked at this property up by Indian River, Michigan. I think is where the property was, or it was down near New Buffalo, just a few miles from the lake. It was $5.5 million. It had 2 buildings bigger than my house and a huge pool, like not as big as the yard you can see on camera. And it basically looked like a resort. It was a lot of house. Who knew houses near a lake would be so expensive?
Right?
It's a shame.
I don't want a house that big, but I do want a house by a lake.
I'd be very happy with basically a garage that's 3-car garage wide and 2 cars deep. So basically like a 12-car garage, 6-car garage. That's how math works. And then the whole upstairs would be like an apartment kind of thing. That would be amazing. Then a small little outbuilding for the blacksmith shop, and then a small building down by the lake where I can store my sailboat. Well, that worked out nicely. That was 100% cheating, and I'm not above it. Y'all didn't get to see that, but I just had to stretch this link out just a little bit. And I just put my tongs on the inside and opened my tongs up and widened it out. When I first started bending this over, my tapers were in the right direction, but now they're not. I might be able to hammer those back without having to pull off the wrench. Doobie doobie.
See if I'm hot enough.
Hold on, we're just at about an hour or so. Camera battery life is good. Phone battery life is acceptable for where we're at. Yeah, that breeze is nice, but it's still super hot out here.
Yeah, if that breeze could remain a constant, that'd be real nice.
I don't know if y'all heard it, but the disembodied voice said that the breeze would be real nice if it was constant. Oh, there he is. He's here.
Yeah.
All right. Can I do anything with my... Oh, let's just throw my cigar on the ground. That's fun.
Nope.
Nope, not hot. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, you're not in the fire there, bud.
I miss the fire. These things happen. Where'd my cigar? Oh, there we go. Busy neighborhood today.
Apparently.
Yeah. So I'm making chain links. Levi's making a fish pole holder dealie. Or he might be turning scrap metal into differently shaped metal. We haven't
That's
decided
about
yet.
where we're at so far.
If he gets it hot, he might be able to turn it around.
I think I have this end drawn down almost as much as I want. And then I'll try curling it around to make the little loopy hook that
Little
talking.
doodad.
And then I'll probably draw down the rest of it. That way I have enough length to make a holder.
I mean, there's a lot of metal there. If you start pretty low, you could stretch that out real far.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
It's good, thick piece.
Be nice practice on keeping things contained and square.
Keep it contained. Also, when you do your little divot dealie, I wouldn't do it right there. That's too sharp of a radius. I'd use something a little bit more round.
So probably this end.
That's too much. That's still kind of hard. Yeah, I don't know. You could use the horn, but that horn's pretty wide. Maybe right there. That might do you.
So it was leaving pretty deep divots. It was kind of hard to get those out.
Yeah, you don't want hard lines. You want dupes. All right, let's see if I can hammer this flat. We'll see what happens, though. I make no promises. That one went. Hey, that one went over nicely, too. Look at that.
It's almost like you know what you're doing. Drop forge.
I know how to drop metal real well. Clean this up a little bit. Got a little bit of a wiggle from the bend. Cool, let's wrap this stuff over. Threw my cigar on the ground again. I was thinking about telling the story about the time that the police came to visit me in high school.
Which time? That happened a few different times.
Okay. The story I told you yesterday is not appropriate for the stream. But the officer happened to already be at the school when that happened. Yeah, the officer was already at the school because he was a substitute teacher. He never had a problem with kids misbehaving in his class.
Wonder
Like-
why.
Like when you have a substitute, you're pretty much like, this is my classroom, not yours, and you kind of do what you want. One time with a sub, the class got really loud, and this like barely out of high school part was substitute. She's like, guys, can you lower your voices? And I turned around, how about this? And she rolled her eyes at me, and she's like, that's not funny. And I said, I thought it was, and then went back to what I was doing. But no, the officer, when he substitute teached, he never had any problems in his class. And I think it's partially because he used to wear his police uniform. Like full kit. Personally, I do at least 2 more heats on what you just did. That's coming out real nice.
Just need to get the backside to follow the same suit.
Yeah, the cigar's gonna jump off the motor. I start swinging, so I'm just gonna finish my cigar real quick, and then I'll do work. So,
See where your piece went.
that's your question. Uh-oh. There we go. She slid down in the fire a little bit. She's all right. So yeah, once upon a time. Oops. Jesse's metal got too cold to actually hit him. So, once upon a time, like this stream thing should not be a surprise to anybody. The fact that I'd be interested in doing this, because when I was 16, it may have been that Christmas when I was 16. I got a video camera for Christmas, a Sony Handycam. It was awesome. I carried that camera everywhere with me because I was one of those nerds. And shot a billion videos and a billion hours of videos of me and my friends skating at this church parking lot that had a really high sidewalk. That was about that high or so. We used to jump up and down on it and grind on it and all that stuff. Grind as in the skating term grind. And which is rough to grind on cement and skates. But nonetheless, I carried that camera everywhere. And when I was a senior, our lit teacher wanted us to shoot a commercial for some reason, because that has to do with literature. And she wanted us to write a commercial, make up a product, and present it, yada, yada, yada. But she wanted us to do it like a skit in front of the class. I was not overly comfortable with doing that in front of the class. It felt weird to me to like write a play. So I raised my hand and said, hey, Miss Teacher Lady, I'm not going to say her name. And I was like, hey, instead of acting it out in front of the class, I've got a video camera. In this day and age, I'm sure most of the kids in the classroom have access to a camera. And can we shoot it and then just put the VHS tape, I'm that old, in the VCR in the front of the classroom and play it on TV? And she's like, you guys have access to cameras? And some of them are like, yeah, I got a camera. She's like, okay, shoot it if you want to. Deal. So me and my buddy, we figured if you're going to do something, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. So we decided to come up with a whole like production company name so we could do like a splash page before it, like a such and such productions or something. We came up with Consider the Source Productions. And so we shot this whole video. We shot it like an infomercial, like those really cheesy Billy Mays style late night TV commercials for products like home shopping kind of thing. And my hands don't want to hand at the moment. So we shot it and we put the production company on it. And the rest of the class didn't find it nearly as funny as me and my buddy did, but you know what? We had a good time. And then we had to do another such project not long after, and so we're like, can we do it with the cameras? She's like, I don't care. So we shot another product commercial type thing, and between doing those assignments, me and my buddy did a bunch of other little skits and stuff. Like we did a stop motion, like not stop motion, but it was like told through photos. So like photo of us doing this, and then photos doing that, and then like it had like title cards in between, like the old silent films, like kind of narrating the story. We did a whole bunch of cool stuff, and I decided because I'm a weirdo. Instead of playing myself, I was going to play a character that I had conjured up, and he had his whole name and blah blah blah. He wore a police uniform shirt that I got from an actual police officer that didn't fit him anymore and had been sitting in my closet. So I threw that on. It didn't have a badge, but it had the county patches and stuff that were all legit and real because it came from a real cop. And a Vietnam era gas mask. And that was the character. And so we did all these little skits with this character involved, and Valentine's Day was coming up. The story's getting rambly. It's because I'm really tired, so, sorry. But I got the camera and the microphone. So, but no turntables. So, Valentine's Day was coming up, and we came up with the silly idea of ask so-and-so, the character's name. I'm not going to use the character's name on the stream for reasons. But we'll say the character was Joey Jojo. So we came up with this thing of ask Joey Jojo. It was going to be like, what was that lady that used to do the newspaper article? It was ask so-and-so, and you could write her a letter with seeking advice, and then she'd give you advice. I don't remember. Then anyways, that was the whole thing. And so Valentine's Day was coming up, so we decided, let's really promote this hard. So my buddy that was involved with me, he went to a copier in the elementary that was attached to the high school where no one paid attention, and he printed off 200 copies.
Use your big boy voice.
So he printed off like 200 copies of this flyer. Ask Joey Jojo with our web address and email address and stuff. And that dude, on his way home from school, went to the little grocery store, went to the gas stations, went to the post office. Everywhere on his walk that had a bulletin board, he posted one. He posted one on telephone poles, like up and down the street. Just canvassed the main street of town with Ask Joey Jojo, and had a picture of Joey Jojo wearing his uniform, sitting at a desk looking all professional with his mask. And then we took an ad out in the school's newspaper, because for $2 you could send like an I love you message to your sweetheart on Valentine's Day. So we bought ad space, and it was unlucky in love, need advice, contact Joey Jojo, and the email address. And then we sat back watching the hit counter on the website. It was like a dozen, right? Because that was us posting things and then checking the website to make sure it was all lined up properly. And then one day I went and checked it, and we had like 150 views or so. Like, well, dang, the flyers are really working. And then the next day it was like 275. And then the next day, like 350. And then we're like 400, just over 400. And me and him were giddy. We were just so excited, like, holy crap, we're finding an audience. Any minute now, we're going to start getting emails with people asking for advice. Because surely, because this was back before going viral was a thing, this was back before memes were a thing, or at least before they were called that. So, getting 450 views over a span of like 3 days was a huge deal back then. The internet was a much smaller place and better place. But that's a story for a different, that's a subject for another time. So, we were very excited. Now, a minor detail in the story that I usually tell earlier in the story is we wanted to post a question for Joey Jojo to answer to kind of get the ball rolling. Kind of when you put out a tip jar, you put a couple of dollars in there yourself just to get the ball rolling. So, the question was from a gentleman named Board and Town Name, and my buddy had written it. And it's like, hey, I'm always looking for something to do on Friday and Saturday nights in Town Name, but the cops always show up and shut us down, and we never have a place to hang out. So what are we supposed to do? Also, what's the deal with grape nuts? That was the question. So Joey Jojo's response was, well, you see, on Friday and Saturday nights, all the cops hang out at the pizza joint until about 9:30, 10 o'clock, chit-chatting and eating free pizza. So do whatever you want before 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then find a place to go. And grape nuts, they found that they ran out of words to name things, so they just put two words together. Be thankful they didn't come up with cat vomit. It's not funny now, but it was super funny to us then. So the hits keep climbing, and still no emails. Hits keep climbing, and one day I'm walking through the hallway. Walking down the hallway to my next class, and there stands the town marshal, full kit. And he goes, Jesse. And I said, officer's name, because I was on a first name basis with him. It's super small town, like Andy Griffith's show. What's the name of that town? Mayberry. Very Mayberry-esque, right? So I referenced him by first name. He goes, I'd like to talk to you. I said, awesome. What would you like to talk about? He's like, well, we need to find your little partner in crime. And I said, you're going to have to be way more specific. He didn't find that as funny as I did. And then my buddy comes walking up. He's like, you, I want to talk to you too. And this kid was super sheltered. His parents were just atrocious. So, like, all the blood left his body. He's like, what do you want to talk to me for? He's like, let's go in the principal's office and have a little chat. I'm like, cool, let's do it. So we go into the principal's office. This fire is not firing very well.
Yeah, I was noticing that.
All right, now I don't have to yell. So I'm going to try and bring the volume down. Where were we? Oh, so we go into the principal's office. Sorry, this story is just a long, rambling mess with no hammering. The fire is being a bit annoying. So, lackluster is exactly the word I would name that fire. Do you want to maybe rake the coals over and get a good beehive going?
Sure.
Appreciate that. So anyways, we go into the principal's office. And as we step into the principal's office, the principal gets up from his chair from behind his big old desk, and he goes to the doorway and stands in the doorway. And me and my buddy sit down in the chairs in front of the desk, and the officer sits down in the principal's chair. And he's spins around in his chair to face the desk on the back wall, and he turns on the monitor for the computer. And there's my website with Joey Jojo sitting in his uniform, clearly in the school with the gas mask on. Keep in mind, this is a post-Columbine world, so keep that in mind for context on timing. And he's like, I'd like to talk to you about this. I said, all right, let's talk about it. And he proceeds to read the question out loud. And then he reads my answer out loud. And he turns around and gives me a discerning look. And I shrugged and said, well, it's true. And I kid you not, I'm not making up this detail in the story. It's my favorite part of the story. When I shrugged and said, well, it's true, the principal had to choke back a laugh and walk out of the room to stifle his laughing. The officer didn't find it nearly as funny. Not even a little bit. And he kind of let out a pained sigh. He goes, be that as it may, we can't really have this out on the internet. And I said, well, First Amendment says I can post what I want. Also, I did all this work outside of school. So what do you want from me, kind of thing? Like, I'm in the clear here. Sorry. And he goes, you are right. He goes, but you can imagine that this doesn't make us officers look very good, now does it? I said, no, I suppose it doesn't. He goes, and furthermore, we've had lots of complaints from folks in town, and the county prosecutor's office has been viewing your website over the last few days, and a few other lawyer types, and the whole justice system. That was all those hundreds of views we got. It worked its way through the legal system, and they were very unhappy. All right, let's see some blacksmithing things. Just folding this stuff over and collapsing it a little bit. I almost smacked myself in the chin with that.
Do it for the vine.
I don't want to smack myself in the face. Thank you. All right, so, well, thank you for switching the camera. We got ourselves another link. Huzzah, that's a little bit lopsided, but that's all right. She'll still weld. She'll still link. So, to the hot shelf it goes. So, the officer says, well, a couple things. Because people are very upset that someone wearing a gas mask, a military gas mask, wearing a police shirt in a school, you have people concerned. He goes, so that's one thing. He goes, but again, it doesn't make us look very good. You saying that we're sitting around not doing our jobs. So, I'll let him hammer and I'll shut up for a minute. Before you go back in the fire with that, can I use that? Thank you.
At least the lawnmower guy has a good choice of music.
I can't even hear it. It just sounds like noise to me.
He's got some jazz playing.
Oh, nice. So, the officer says, that doesn't make us look very good. Would you agree? I said, yes, I agree with that. That certainly wasn't my intent. I was just trying to be funny and, be helpful. And he says, well, Jesse, would you consider it a personal favor to me to take that down? I said, yes, of course, I'll do it because you're asking me to. And I said, furthermore, if you'll allow me to have a seat in that chair, I can take it down before you leave the room. He looked at the computer, he looked at me, he goes, really, you can do that? Yeah, of course I can. But remember, this was early 2000s. Nobody knew how computers worked back then. So he got up and I shuffled around him and I sat down and I logged into geocities.com and just took down the link for that page. The page still existed, but I removed the links to it so you couldn't get to it. And we agreed to take down the flyers and stuff. And that's the time an officer came to visit me at school because of a website I made. It's also not the only time I got in trouble in school because of a website I made.
I don't think anyone who knows you would find that shocking in the slightest.
So yeah, good times. He was a good man, though. The officer, he always treated us very fairly. When we were rambunctious teenagers and we all got our driver's licenses, and the other officers gave us a lot of guff all the time. He told them to back off and leave us alone. He was a good man. Sadly, he passed about a month and a half ago or so. He was a good man, though. So back to the thing we've been doing all day. So again, taking it down to half material. Then we'll taper the other side. Thank you very much, Levi. I don't know if the other website story is appropriate to tell. Yeah, I don't know if that's appropriate. I don't think it's age restricted because of content. I made a rude gesture in a photograph and then made a comment, and some people in the administration took issue with that. It was nothing vulgar or nothing racy.
Sorry to make you move. I'm trying to decide what I want to do now. I lost my train of thought.
Well, bring it over here on the anvil. Let's talk about it for a minute. Maybe there'll be some educational value.
Probably not. So I have the second strip down almost square. I'm wondering if I should bend it out, finish squaring it up, and then finish my little hook.
Let's see the other side. How chunky do you want that ground spike to be?
I was thinking about tapering that, taper it down towards I can round it and it actually be somewhat round because that'll be easier to get into the ground.
Well,
but I'm also worried that I'm going to run out of material on that.
Well, if you would like my advice,
Sure.
I would do a couple of heats, just getting rid of your hammer marks and the lines that you put in,
Okay.
and clean it up. And then once you're clean, bring that taper down to where you want it, round it, and then do the bend. And I would do the bend right about there or so.
That's kind of
about the top of the ash.
Yeah.
You don't want to pull that apart too much because you might fracture it. Put a stress riser in there.
Yeah, I was thinking I probably want 1.5 to 2 inches in the ground.
Yeah, that's what I would do. So, to heck with it. I'm going to tell the story. So, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we didn't have social media until MySpace or Friendster showed up. Got that taper in there real quick. Let's go. There. Got that taper done. We'll do the middle bend. So this was the time before Friendster showed up. Friendster became MySpace. This was before all that, so we had chat rooms that we used to hang out in. So we hung out in chat rooms. I used to hang out in this one particular chat room, and it turned into this thing where after school, me and a bunch of like the same people would show up in this one room and hang out. We'd share our websites and talk about our days, blah blah blah, you know. And so at one point, I was sitting in a classroom with a friend, and I had my arm around her, and she pulled out her digital camera and pointed it at us. So I held up a couple of fingers, if you will. And she snapped a picture because I was a teenager and I was cool and edgy. I was flipping off the camera. And then she later emailed me that photo because that's how we did those things back then. And I posted it on my website, and lots of people were like, "Hey, what's with the fingers?" And I tried to explain it, so I put a tag underneath it in big letters. By the way, the fingers for my third hour teacher, Doobie Doobie, whatever his name was. I'm not going to say it on the stream. I'm not going to get in trouble again because of that guy. So anyways, don't want to dox him. So I said, so the fingers from my third hour teacher, Doobie Doobie. So shove it, Doobie. I thought it was funny. Oops, let's just burn the heck out of everything because we're busy talking. Oh, let's just break that in half. So that's what happens when you let metal get too hot. We'll start over, because that's what we do. How you doing, neighbor? So, shove it, Doobie Doobie, or whatever it was I said. And long story, slightly less long. My website got shared around the school. And then this one woman who was the athletics director that thought she was the vice principal, she got a hold of it and went scrolling through all the pages because what's Jesse doing, blah, blah, blah. And she found that picture and the tag to the reference to the teacher. And she lost her mind. And so she immediately sent it to the principal and then created all this buzz. And I was walking down the hallway, and athletics director, she's like, "Jesse, oh, hello to you too. Get over here." All right. So I walk over, and she and the principal are standing there, and she ripped me a new one. Like out in front of God and everyone. She just laid into me. She goes, "You're coming with us." And she led the march into the principal's office. It was her, pretend vice principal, me, and then the actual principal. And I walked in, she goes, "Have a seat." All right, so I sat down, and she ripped into me again. And the principal, I had a really good rapport with him. We used to hang out in the hallway and just chit chat and stuff and whatnot. He was a cool dude. And so it kind of turned into this good cop, bad cop thing. She was just ripping in, and he was talking to me and about how that's not a thing that can be acceptable, blah, blah, blah. That's, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And again, my defense was First Amendment. I can post what I want, where I want, when I want. Also, I only worked on this website at home, so it's not like I use school property, so you can't do anything about it. Kick rocks, basically, right? I didn't speak to her like that. That was a basic messaging. Now, you will do yourself a huge favor when you get to the point where you want to bend that out from right there. You want that rip roaring hot, because the hotter you get that, the easier that'll bend, and it'll go a lot easier. I'm really concerned with that becoming like when you pull it apart. I'm really concerned about that just splitting apart.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking like bend it up here.
Yeah, you can definitely do it that way, but again, rip roaring hot. None of that dull red stuff. So, in a relatively respectful manner, I told her to kick rocks. Like, look, First Amendment, I can do what I want. And she laid into me some more. And I told her, hey, look. Well, I think it was the principal. He's like, because they caught me right before I was going to the lunchroom for lunch. And he's like, Jesse, we're going to discuss this. Why don't you go ahead and go get your lunch? Yada, yada, yada. I was like, cool. So I go into the cafeteria and I'm standing in the lunch line. I go through and get my food. And they're like, Jesse, what was so-and-so yelling at you about? I said, yeah, I don't know what her effing problem is. She's not the principal, and she seems to be talking to me like she's somebody. I don't appreciate her attitude. She needs to, know her role, kind of thing. I really let him know what I thought about it. And I heard, excuse me. Like you could hear like the steam and fire coming out of this dragon lady's face. And I spin around, and just like in the movies, she was seriously standing like 15 feet behind me. And at this point, I'm all fired up and angry. She's like, how dare you? I'm like, it's true. Like, you're not the principal. I don't know why you're the one leading the charge here. And I got yelled at some more for that. Which, okay. And the principal was like, yeah, Jesse, you really shouldn't be talking to her like that. I'm like, well, I'm going to go eat my lunch now. So later on that day, I get called into the principal's office, and I walk in, and there stands my dad. Like, hey, Dad. And there's the principal. He's like, well, I've been chatting with your dad for a while now, blah, blah, blah. And he laid it out to me that in this post-Columbine world, if you say anything negative to or about a teacher, you can get in trouble for it. If it's like the middle of summer break and school's out, and you see a teacher and you're like, hey, teacher, you're a jerk face, or, use more colorful language, they can suspend you the next year because they can take it as a threat on their life. Thank you, Columbine. And so he said because of that, he can't just let it go. So he insisted that I take the photo down, or at least take down the reference to the teacher. And he informs me that he talked to several principal friends of his, and they all recommended expelling me and kicking me out of school over it. But he wasn't going to do that to me because he knew me better. And so he decided on a 2-day suspension. So, in true form, I was like, well, if you let me sit down at your computer, I can make that text go away in like 10 minutes, to which I did. And he's like, all right, well, I guess we'll see you in 2 days, Mr. My last name. And so I shook his hand and said, thank you very much, Mr. Last name. And Dad gave me a ride home. Didn't get in trouble at home. They were kind of on my side. I had 2 days off. I went skating all day, watched cartoons, watched The Price is Right. Then went back to school. No big deal. Oh, the principal gave me the opportunity to drop the class of the teacher I didn't like and move me to a new class without any kind of penalty or anything. My grade will just transfer over and I just get to play catch up. And I said, nope, I started this class. I'm going to finish this class. And I did that for two reasons. One, I like to finish what I start. And two, I knew the greatest revenge would be to go walking into that teacher's classroom with a smile on my face. And I knew that would irk him more than anything else, that he still has to have me in his class. So yeah, I got to finish out the class. And we made each other's lives hell for the rest of the year. He had the upper hand, of course, but I got my jabs in. So yeah, good times.
It's so hard to imagine you railing against authority.
Well, it's been 20-something years since that happened. I'm older, dare I say, a smidgen wiser. And I have to say, I still feel I was in the right.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I don't think too much has changed. You might go about it in a smarter way now.
Nope, I would do it all the exact same.
Meaning you get your jabs in a smarter way. Monkey's not enough yet.
I don't know. What are you doing?
Trying to get it hot enough to bend.
Well, yeah. But how are you going to do it?
Stick it down in the pritcher hole and then grab the part that I want to bend with a pair of tongs and pull it over. Maybe smack it with a hammer a couple times.
I wonder if it would be wiser to squeeze just below where you want the bend to be, so then all the pressure goes to the wrench instead of that.
That's kind of why I was thinking go like this. That way it's pinched and then pull.
That will work. This is belt and suspenders kind of mentality. So while you're not hot anymore, let's measure up so we can get this about right. Can you stand it up for me? Thank you. So I would do it like that, and like just slide this up to where you want it, and then do the bending thing. That's how I would go about doing that.
That makes sense.
And then you'll probably want to use.
I got the flat nose over here.
Oh, you got the flat bit tongs? Cool.
Yep. I was getting things ready. I had almost a thought about it.
Proud of you. Let that get too hot again.
I just want to play with sparks.
Oh yes, that video got to my head.
I don't know, I haven't seen any hammer tricks.
I've twirled my hammer a couple times. For $19.95, you can order my hammer twirling video and learn how to twirl a hammer as well. Yes, one easy payment of $19.95, and I will send you a personalized video on how to twirl hammers. For 36 payments of $19.95, I will send you a personalized video on how to juggle hammers. Secret, I can juggle. I can't juggle hammers, so I'll have to teach myself. So while you come up with the 36 payments of $19.95, I'll learn how to juggle hammers.
It's about the same as bowling pins.
Yeah, and it's never very good at that. I tried back in my Ren Fair days. I used to hang out with a juggler that had lots of juggling pins, and he gave me instruction on how to do it. And I used to stand out there every morning on stage before they opened the Ren Fair, and I would juggle those batons or pins or whatever the heck they were every morning.
Never had the juggling pins, but I did have actual bowling pins that I practiced with.
I have a whole box of bowling pins somewhere.
They make really good targets.
They also work as a hammer in a pinch if you had to hammer some nails into a wall at 3 a.m.
That does not shock me.
It was 3 a.m. I wanted to hang up my green screen to shoot a video that I had an idea for, and I couldn't find a hammer, but I found a bowling pin, so...
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, we got the job.
I'm sparkly now.
You could probably recover from that. I will just hold that if you promise not to shed a bunch of stuff on me.
I will do my best.
Get her hot. And then you can do that same, like, put it back and then hammer over the top of the wrench like we did with the other thing that we hammered on the wrench for. I don't remember why we were doing that. Oh, your lantern hook.
Destroyed our fire.
Oh yeah, that's a fire killer, definitely.
Ugh. Just means I'll have to fix it up each time.
This was about the time I wanted to wrap things up. It's almost gone on the ground one more time. All right, folks. We're going to go ahead and kill this stream for the night. I think Levi's going to finish his bend. And then we'll shut everything down. I'm going to get my stuff out of his way. But yeah, we have a thing we want to go do real quick. So we're going to shut the stream down. Really appreciate you guys coming out and sticking with me through the lawn mowing and all the noise and what have you. So we will be back Monday. Monday I'll try and come up with something more interesting than just making a whole bunch of chain links. And so, of course, brimstoneforge.us if you want to check out the store. And then Brimstone Forge US on the TikToks and YouTubes, and tell all your friends on Twitch. So yeah, we will see you next week. Same Forge channel, same Forge time. Goodbye.